Have you ever walked into a room and felt invisible? Maybe you've poured your heart into your work, your family, or your community, and yet it seems like no one truly notices. That sense of being undervalued or overlooked is more common than you might think. In today's fast-paced, noisy world, many of us feel like we're just another face in the crowd. But here's the truth. You are not destined to stay invisible. You can cultivate a presence so strong, so authentic, that people naturally recognize and respect you, not because you demand attention, but because of the strength you carry within. And the key lies in something ancient yet timeless: Stoic philosophy. For thousands of years, Stoicism has guided people through uncertainty, challenge, and change. From Roman emperors like Marcus Aurelius to modern leaders who quietly shape the world today, Stoic wisdom has helped individuals develop inner strength, calmness, and clarity even in the middle of chaos. In this video, we're going to walk together through 10 powerful strategies inspired by Stoicism. These aren't just abstract ideas. They're practical lessons that can transform not only how others see you, but also how you see yourself. Imagine showing up with quiet confidence, handling pressure without losing your cool, and leaving a lasting impression that inspires respect. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about chasing applause or forcing people to pay attention. It's about becoming someone who doesn't need to seek validation because your actions, your mindset, and your presence speak louder than words. It's about building habits that last a lifetime, not just a moment. I want you to ask yourself right now, what would your life look like if you stopped waiting for recognition and started living with undeniable presence? What doors would open? What relationships would deepen? That's the journey we're starting today. 10 strategies, 10 timeless lessons, each one a stepping stone toward becoming the best version of yourself. By the end of this, you'll not only understand how to shift the way people see you, you'll feel a shift in the way you see your own worth. So, if you're ready to stop feeling overlooked and start building a presence that truly lasts, stay with me until the end. This is the beginning of something powerful, and trust me, you won't want to miss a single step. Strategy 1: take care of yourself. Let me ask you something. How well are you really taking care of yourself? I'm not just talking about grabbing a quick meal, crashing at midnight, and hoping coffee will fix the rest. I mean truly caring for your body, your mind, and your soul. Because here's the truth. If you don't know how to care for yourself, it's nearly impossible to care deeply for others. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how someone who radiates health and calmness just seems to draw people in? It's not because they are chasing attention. It's because they are aligned with themselves. That kind of energy is magnetic, and the foundation of that presence is self-care. On a physical level, it starts with the basics we often overlook: balanced nutrition, regular exercise, and yes, getting enough sleep. When your body is strong, your presence naturally commands respect. People sense it, even without words. Imagine walking into a room with energy, posture, and clarity. That alone changes how others perceive you. But it doesn't stop with the body. Self-care also means feeding your mind and your spirit. Reading a great book, practicing meditation, or simply enjoying a hobby that lights you up, all of these recharge your soul. When you invest in these small practices, you gain confidence, peace, and a quiet strength that no one can take away. Here's the part many forget. Self-care begins with self-awareness. Do you actually know what you need, not just on the surface, but deep inside? Take time to reflect. What drains you? What restores you? Once you identify those things, you can nurture yourself with purpose. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, once said, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." That wisdom still holds true today. If you fill your thoughts with neglect or self-doubt, your life will reflect that. But if you choose to invest in yourself, physically, mentally, spiritually, you create not just a healthier life, but a more meaningful one. So here's my challenge for you. This week, choose one simple act of self-care and commit to it. Maybe it's going to bed an hour earlier. Maybe it's turning off your phone and reading for 20 minutes. Maybe it's going for a walk without distractions. Whatever it is, treat it as non-negotiable. Because the better you take care of yourself, the more strength you have to give to others. Remember, self-care isn't selfish. It's the foundation of a life that inspires others. And when you invest in yourself, you don't just change your own story. You become a source of energy and hope for everyone around you. Strategy 2. Cultivate calmness and composure. Have you ever said something in anger that you later wished you could take back? We've all been there. In the heat of the moment, emotions run high, and before we know it, our words or actions create damage that takes far longer to repair than it took to cause. That's why cultivating calmness isn't just a nice skill to have, it's a life-changing discipline. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." Think about that for a moment. He's not telling us to ignore our emotions, but to pause before letting them dictate our actions. That pause, whether it's a breath, a moment of silence, or simply choosing not to react right away, can be the difference between escalating conflict and earning respect. Picture this. You're in a stressful meeting. Someone challenges your idea in front of everyone. Your heart races, your pride flares, and the easiest reaction would be to snap back. But instead, you pause, you take a slow breath. You let the room settle, and then you respond with clarity and composure. Suddenly, the power dynamic shifts. You're no longer just defending yourself, you're leading the room with calm authority. Calmness is often mistaken for weakness, but the truth is the opposite. Calmness is strength under control. It's humility in action. It's the depth of spirit that says, "I won't let circumstances control me. I choose how I respond." And people notice. They may not say it out loud, but respect grows for the person who can stay steady when everyone else loses balance. So, how do we build this kind of calmness? Start with simple practices. Pause before reacting. Practice mindfulness, whether through meditation, journaling, or even a short daily walk in silence. Focus on what you can control and release the rest. Reframe challenges as opportunities to grow. And most importantly, look back at your experiences. What moments taught you the most? Usually, it's the ones where you struggled to keep calm. Here's a thought to carry with you. Storms will always come. You can't control the wind, but you can control the sail. Calmness is that sail. It allows you to steer through chaos without being destroyed by it. So the next time tension rises, ask yourself, will I let this moment own me, or will I own this moment? Remember, true composure isn't the absence of emotion. It's the mastery of it. And that mastery will not only change how others see you, it will transform how you see yourself. Strategy 3. Value your time. Let me ask you something. If I gave you $1,000 right now, would you let a stranger just walk up and steal it? Of course not. You'd protect it because money is valuable. But here's the bigger question. Why do we guard our money so fiercely, yet give away our time so carelessly? Time is the most irreplaceable asset you have. You can lose money and earn it back. You can lose possessions and rebuild them. But once an hour is gone, it's gone forever. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that respecting how you spend your time is the foundation of respecting yourself. And when you respect yourself, others can't help but respect you too. Think about the people you admire most. They're not necessarily the busiest, but they are intentional with their time. They know when to say yes, and more importantly, when to say no. That discipline communicates strength, clarity, and leadership. It tells the world, I value my life enough not to waste it. Here's a simple example. Imagine two coworkers. One says yes to every request, stays late every night, and always looks exhausted. The other chooses carefully, manages priorities, and leaves with energy to spend time on family, health, and personal growth. Which one inspires more trust? Which one would you want to follow as a leader? Exactly, the one who values their time. Mastering time management is not about squeezing productivity into every second of the day. It's about aligning your time with what matters most, your values, your growth, and your purpose. When you do this, you not only gain control of your life, but you also inspire those around you. People start to see you as dependable, focused, and worthy of trust. So here's a challenge. This week, audit your time. Where are the leaks? Where are you saying yes when you should be saying no? Where are you spending hours on things that don't bring you closer to the life you want? Once you spot those patterns, take back control. Remember this, every minute you waste is a piece of your life you'll never get back. But every minute you invest wisely builds a future you'll be proud of. Value your time, and you'll not only earn the respect of others, you'll live with the deep self-respect that comes from knowing you didn't let life slip away unnoticed. Strategy 4. Practice active listening. Have you ever had a conversation where you could tell the other person wasn't really listening? Maybe they nodded politely, but their eyes wandered, or they were just waiting for their turn to speak. How did it make you feel? Probably unheard, maybe even unimportant. Now flip that around. When someone truly listens to you, with focus, patience, and genuine interest, it builds an instant bond of trust. That is the power of active listening. Active listening is more than just hearing words. It's humility in action. It says, "Your perspective matters. I respect you enough to give you my full attention." And in a world full of noise, distraction, and people fighting to be heard, the person who listens deeply stands out. Imagine this. A friend comes to you stressed about a problem at work. You resist the urge to interrupt or jump in with solutions. Instead, you lean in, maintain eye contact, and allow them to speak without rushing. You ask thoughtful questions that help them reflect. You notice not only what they say, but also their body language, their pauses, their tone. By the end of the conversation, they don't just feel better about the problem. They feel valued because someone truly saw them. The Stoics often reminded us that wisdom begins with listening, not just to others, but also to ourselves. How can we grow if we only hear our own voice? By practicing active listening, we open ourselves to new perspectives, fresh insights, and deeper human connection. So how do you build this skill? Start small. When someone talks to you, silence the distractions. Yes, that means putting the phone down. Ask constructive questions that invite clarity rather than judgment. Pay attention to their body language. Sometimes what's unspoken is more powerful than words. And don't be afraid of silence. Sometimes the most meaningful part of listening is simply giving someone space to think. Here's something to reflect on. When was the last time you truly listened, not to reply but to understand? Think about the impact you could make if every conversation left the other person feeling seen, heard, and respected. That's not just good communication, it's leadership. So this week, I challenge you to listen more than you speak. Give someone the gift of your full presence. Because when you practice active listening, you're not just building relationships, you're building trust, respect, and influence that lasts a lifetime. Strategy 5. Embrace lifelong learning. Let me ask you, when was the last time you learned something completely new? Not because you had to for work, but because you chose to grow. For many of us, once school is over, we quietly slip into routine. But here's the truth. Real living begins when we commit to lifelong learning. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." That wisdom cuts deep because life is always changing. The challenges you faced at 20 are not the same ones you'll face at 40, 60, or beyond. And the only way to navigate these seasons with strength and grace is to keep expanding your mind, your perspective, and your skills. Lifelong learning isn't just about filling your head with knowledge. It shapes your character. It teaches patience when things take longer than expected. It deepens gratitude because the more you understand the world, the more you realize how much there is to be thankful for. Think about this. When you learn something new, you're not only growing yourself, you're also preparing to give back. Teaching and sharing what you've learned builds respect and trust. People admire those who don't just hoard wisdom but use it to uplift others. That's how you create social value that outlives your own achievements. And let's be real, learning also means failing. But failure is not the enemy. In fact, every mistake is a classroom in disguise. It builds resilience, sharpens perspective, and prepares you for greater challenges ahead. The most inspiring people you know, they didn't get there without setbacks. They grew because of them. Here's a simple example. Maybe you decide to pick up a new skill like public speaking, coding, or even gardening. At first, you'll stumble. You'll get it wrong. But every step forward teaches you not just the skill itself, but perseverance, humility, and the joy of progress. That's the true reward of lifelong learning. So here's my challenge for you this week. Choose one thing, big or small, that you've always wanted to explore. Read that book, watch that lecture, take that class, or simply ask someone wiser than you a thoughtful question. Every act of learning is an investment in yourself that compounds over time. Remember this: the day you stop learning is the day you stop truly living. So keep stretching, keep exploring, keep asking questions. Because the more you learn, the richer, stronger, and more meaningful your life becomes. Strategy 6. Embrace authenticity. Let me ask you, how often do you find yourself doing things just to fit in, just to meet expectations, or just to avoid standing out? It's tempting, isn't it? We live in a world where trends change daily and pressure to blend in is everywhere. But here's the truth. What makes you valuable is not your ability to copy others, it's your willingness to be authentic. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "If you wish to be a writer, write." Simple, yet powerful. What he meant is this: if you want to live a meaningful life, stop waiting for permission. Stop chasing approval. Do the thing that is true to you, because authenticity is where your true worth lies. I'm reminded of a story about Patrick, a designer who spent years creating work based only on what the market wanted. His designs sold, but they felt empty, soulless. One day, he made a bold choice. He stopped trying to please everyone and began designing in his own authentic style. The result: not only did people notice, they respected him more. His work finally carried a signature no one else could imitate. Authenticity didn't limit him, it liberated him. And that's the point. Authenticity creates lasting impact. People might admire your success, but they trust and connect with your truth. Think about the people you're most drawn to. Chances are it's not because they're perfect, it's because they are real. They're consistent with who they are even when it's not easy. But embracing authenticity requires courage. It means risking rejection. It means accepting that not everyone will approve of you and being okay with that. Because here's the reality: trying to please everyone is the fastest way to lose yourself. Being authentic, on the other hand, builds deep trust, genuine relationships, and an attraction that's hard to ignore. So here's a reflection for you. Where in your life are you wearing a mask? At work, with friends, even with yourself? What would happen if you began showing up with honesty and consistency, choosing to live from the inside out instead of the outside in? Remember this: authenticity is magnetic. The world doesn't need another copy, it needs the real you. And when you embrace that, you don't just gain respect, you leave a lasting impression that outlives trends, outshines approval, and outlasts time. Strategy 7. Maintain a sense of mystery. Have you ever noticed that the people who captivate us the most aren't always the ones who talk the loudest or share every detail of their lives? Instead, they carry something rare, an air of mystery. And that mystery doesn't push people away, it draws them closer. Mystery is powerful because it sparks curiosity. It makes others want to know more, to lean in, to listen a little longer. In a world where oversharing has become the norm, where every meal, every thought, and every private moment ends up online, mystery is almost like a superpower. When you hold something back, when you choose not to reveal everything at once, you create intrigue. And intrigue builds respect. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who didn't immediately lay out their whole story, but instead revealed pieces over time? Each conversation felt like opening a new chapter in a book you couldn't put down. That's the art of mystery. It transforms ordinary interactions into journeys of discovery. Now, don't mistake this for secrecy or playing games. It's not about hiding who you are. It's about choosing what matters most to share and when to share it. Imagine a mentor who doesn't dump all their wisdom on you at once, but instead gives you just enough insight to challenge your thinking and push you forward. That selective sharing makes every lesson more valuable, more memorable. There's a deep connection between mystery and wisdom. When you combine the two, something magical happens. People naturally admire you, not because you're trying to impress them, but because you give them space to wonder, to think, to engage. Here's a question worth reflecting on. In your own life, are you sharing too much too soon? Are you giving away your story before others have earned the right to hear it? Sometimes holding back isn't about pride, it's about building deeper, more meaningful relationships. Remember this: mystery is not emptiness, it's depth. It's what makes people lean in instead of scroll past. And when you pair that sense of mystery with genuine wisdom, you don't just capture attention, you inspire lasting admiration. So the next time you're tempted to put everything out there, pause, ask yourself, what if I left just enough unsaid to keep them curious? Because sometimes what you don't reveal speaks louder than what you do. Strategy 8. Practice discretion. In a world where everyone is rushing to share their every move, every thought, and every plan online, there's an underrated power that most people overlook: discretion. The ability to hold back, to be selective about what you share and when you share it, is not weakness, it's strength. Think about this. How many times have you seen someone announce a big project or idea too early, only for it to fizzle out before it ever took shape? On the other hand, I once met an entrepreneur who did the exact opposite. Instead of broadcasting his new project to the world, he quietly worked on it behind the scenes. While others were busy talking, he was busy building. And when he finally revealed it, not only was it complete, but it also gave him a massive competitive advantage. Why? Because he understood the power of restraint. The Stoics taught us that discretion builds trust and earns long-term respect. When you don't give everything away at once, people begin to take your words more seriously. They know that when you choose to speak, it carries weight. And in today's noisy world where everyone is talking, the person who speaks less but with purpose stands out the most. But let's be honest, it's not easy. We live in a culture that rewards quick likes and instant recognition. Holding back can feel like missing out. Yet here's a question worth asking. Before you hit post or share a personal detail, do you ever stop and ask yourself, does this serve my long-term interests, or am I just chasing short-term attention? That one question can change everything. Because discretion isn't about secrecy, it's about strategy. It's about protecting your dreams until they're strong enough to face the world. It's about honoring your relationships by keeping confidences. And it's about building a reputation where people know they can trust not only what you say, but also what you choose not to say. When you practice discretion, you create an aura of reliability. You become the person others can trust with sensitive information, the leader who doesn't need to prove themselves with constant noise. Over time, that restraint doesn't just give you peace of mind. It earns you respect that lasts far longer than fleeting attention ever could. So the next time you feel the urge to overshare, pause. Remember, sometimes the most powerful move you can make is not in what you say, but in what you choose to keep to yourself. Strategy 9. Embrace the art of receiving. Most of us are taught from a young age to give. Give time, give effort, give love. And while giving is powerful, there's another art form that often gets overlooked: the art of receiving. And here's the truth: being able to receive with grace is just as important as knowing how to give. Think about it. How do you feel when someone offers you help but you brush it off saying, "No, I'm fine, I can handle it"? At first, it might seem like independence. But in reality, rejecting help can create distance. It denies others the chance to show love, generosity, and connection. True strength isn't in doing everything alone, it's in recognizing that we are all interdependent. When you practice receiving, you're not just taking, you're honoring the giver. You're saying, "I value your effort, I trust your heart." That builds gratitude, humility, and deeper community bonds. Imagine how relationships change when we stop pretending to carry the world by ourselves and instead allow others to walk beside us. The Stoics remind us that receiving is not weakness. It's a practice of wisdom. It involves 5 principles worth remembering: interdependence, gratitude, humility, strengthening community, and encouraging generosity. Each time you say thank you, ask for help, or even accept constructive criticism with an open heart, you strengthen those principles in your life. I'll share a quick example. A friend of mine went through a difficult season, job loss, financial strain, and stress piling up. At first, he refused all offers of help, insisting he would figure it out. But when he finally accepted support, meals from neighbors, advice from mentors, and even small acts of kindness, something powerful happened. Not only did his burden lighten, but his community grew stronger. People didn't see him as weak, they respected his humility and felt more connected to him. That's the hidden beauty of receiving. It inspires generosity. When someone receives from you with gratitude, doesn't it make you want to give more? The cycle of giving and receiving is what builds cultures of trust, resilience, and belonging. So let me ask you, when was the last time you let yourself truly receive, without guilt, without pride, without deflecting? Remember, the art of receiving is not about taking more. It's about opening the door to deeper connection, greater trust, and a stronger, more generous world. Strategy 10. Foster resilience and endurance. Life will test you. Sometimes it's a sudden crisis, a job loss, a health scare, or a betrayal you never saw coming. Other times it's the quiet weight of daily struggles piling up. The question isn't if challenges will come. The question is, how will you respond when they do? The Stoics taught us a timeless truth. Focus only on what is within your control. You can't control the storm, but you can control the sail. And that's where resilience and endurance are born, not in escaping hardship, but in facing it with clarity, courage, and composure. Think of resilience as a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. The Stoics even practiced voluntary hardship, sleeping on the floor, eating simple meals, not because they had to, but to remind themselves that comfort is a luxury, not a necessity. When life later stripped comfort away, they weren't shaken. They were ready. History gives us powerful examples, leaders who stayed composed during crisis, whether in business, politics, or personal life, earned loyalty and respect not because everything went smoothly, but because they stood tall when everything seemed to collapse. Their endurance didn't just carry them through, it inspired others to rise with them. Now, here's the shift in mindset that changes everything. Adversity is not an interruption to your life. It is life's training ground. Every setback carries within it the seed of growth. Every hardship can become the foundation of your strength. What if the obstacle in front of you isn't blocking the path, but is the path? So let me ask you, what challenge are you facing right now? Instead of resisting it, what would happen if you reframed it as preparation, as an opportunity to sharpen your endurance and deepen your resilience? When you do, you'll notice something remarkable. People start to admire you, not because you never fall, but because you always rise. And that's how legacies are built, not through ease, but through endurance. Remember, storms don't last forever, but the strength you build while walking through them, that stays with you for life. Strategy 11. Cultivate gratitude in daily life. We live in a world that constantly tells us what we don't have: more money, a better job, a bigger house. But the Stoics remind us of a radical truth. Happiness isn't found in chasing more. It's found in appreciating what is already here. Gratitude is not passive. It's an active practice of shifting your focus. Every morning you can choose to start your day by counting problems or by counting blessings. Which one do you think will set the tone for your life? Research today echoes what Stoics knew centuries ago. Gratitude rewires the brain, lowers stress, strengthens relationships, and even improves health. Seneca wrote, "Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart." And he was right. Gratitude changes not just how you see the world, but how the world sees you. Here's something practical. Keep a gratitude journal. Write down 3 small things you're thankful for each night. It could be as simple as a good meal, a kind word, or the ability to breathe freely. Over time, this habit transforms scarcity into abundance. And when gratitude becomes your lens, others notice. You become the person who uplifts the room instead of draining it. You build deeper trust, stronger bonds, and a life that feels meaningful no matter the circumstances. So ask yourself, what in your life right now deserves more appreciation than you've been giving it? Strategy 12. Lead through example, not words. It's easy to talk about values, it's harder to live them. The Stoics knew that true influence doesn't come from lectures, it comes from action. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Think about the people you admire most. Chances are it's not because of what they said, but because of how they lived. Maybe it was a mentor who showed integrity under pressure, or a parent who sacrificed silently, or a leader who stayed calm while everyone else panicked. Their actions spoke louder than any speech ever could. Living by example builds credibility. When you practice discipline, resilience, or kindness consistently, others naturally follow your lead. In business, in family, in friendships, people trust actions more than promises. Here's the challenge. Are your daily choices aligned with the values you want others to see in you? If someone watched your life without sound, no words, no explanations, would they understand what you stand for? Leading by example doesn't mean being perfect. It means striving, failing, and rising again with humility. It means showing people what resilience, authenticity, and wisdom look like in practice. And that is how you leave a lasting impact, through a life that speaks for itself. In conclusion, so let's take a moment to step back. We've just walked through 12 timeless Stoic strategies, each one a tool to help you build real self-worth and earn lasting respect. From caring for yourself, to valuing your time, to leading by example, these aren't just abstract ideas. They are daily practices that, if applied consistently, can reshape the way you see yourself and the way others see you. But here's the deeper truth. The greatest transformation doesn't happen outside, it happens within. It's not just about gaining admiration or being noticed. It's about becoming a person of strength, clarity, and vision. A person who can stand tall when life gets heavy. A person who can inspire others simply by the way they live. And remember, Stoicism isn't about being cold or emotionless. It's about cultivating resilience without losing compassion, discipline without losing joy, wisdom without losing humility. It's about learning to move through life with both strength and grace. Now, I want to leave you with a question. Which one of these strategies are you going to put into practice today? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Because knowledge without action changes nothing. But one small step, taken today, can begin the journey toward a completely different life. If this video resonated with you, I invite you to continue walking this journey with me. Leave a comment and share which strategy spoke to you most. Hit the like button if you found value in these insights, and subscribe so you won't miss the next chapter of this Stoic journey we're building together. The Stoics taught us that life is short, unpredictable, and often outside of our control. But they also taught us that within those limits lies incredible power. The power to choose how we think, how we act, and how we show up for ourselves and for others. So keep moving forward. Keep striving even when it's hard. And most of all, keep shining, because your example might be the light someone else needs to see in their darkest moment. This is not the end of the journey, it's only the beginning. Stay strong, stay true, and I'll see you in the next video.